Organized labor unions urge federal governments to intensify fight against corruption. 2017 budget passed into law by Enugu State House of Assembly. Plus, to bring succor to the less privileged, Enugu State government partners with international inner will. Good day and thanks for joining us on Panorama from the Enugu Network Center. I am Beauty Erobami. Organized labor unions took to the streets in Abuja and Lagos, urging the federal government to intensify its fights against corruption at local levels. State House correspondent Jide Onafide will tell us more.
The street rally in Abuja terminated at the presidential villa. They commended President Muhammadu Buhari for taking up the fight and urging not to relent in ensuring that needed infrastructure that will bring development and growth is in place. At the presidential villa, where acting President Yemi Osinbajo received the labor leaders and some other representatives whose management of the nation's resources in the past was identified as the brain to growth, assuring the labor leaders that their demands would be looked into. The acting president says President Muhammadu Buhari has always been concerned about the living conditions of the people, which explains the reason behind bailout to states for the payment of outstanding salaries and pensions, the social investment programs, and the reform to justice system towards assuring that everyone is held accountable through due process and the rule of law.
It's not all about saying we have no money or there is no money. It is how these resources are managed. And you can imagine a situation where when there was resources, salaries were not paid. All of these things we are talking about were not paid. But at the leanest time in the history of this country, we have made those payments, ensured that salaries of workers, even in the states, are paid, ensured that those refunds are tied to payment of salaries at the time of the leanest purse that the federal government has had in very many years.
There is no gain without paying, the acting president said, emphasizing that there is so much that can be done with the Nigerian economy.
It's my strong belief, and I believe that whatever it is that everyone may say about the government of President Buhari, they have a large gentleman, an honest man. He's an honest leader for a start. You must have, if you don't have an honest leader, you can do all the mayors, smokes and mirrors, you can do all the appearances. But if the leadership of this country is not honest, there is no way this country can survive. We will continue to go back round and round in circles. Things might be difficult today, but I am completely assured that if we stay the course, if we continue to produce as we are producing, give the right incentives to manufacturers, give the right incentives to farmers, give the right incentives, and help the poor today with the things we are doing, conditional cash transfers, employment, and all of these kinds of things. This country will not only get out of recession, but we will go towards a path of sustainable development. And we must fight corruption. If we don't fight, if we can't deal with corruption, then all of what we are doing is a waste. Because all the resources of this nation, if a few can pillage it, if a few can steal it, and get away with it, then we are just going to keep going round and round in circles.
Representatives of the workers, Ayuba Waba and Balaka Gama, jointly presented the union's demands to the acting president.
It's important and fundamental for all Nigerians to be on the same page. We realize people are chasing shadow instead of choosing actually the substance. So the substance of the issue is the challenge of good governance. We thought that we should represent these team members that are actually at the receiving end.
So we are here to identify with the government in its quest to fight corruption.
Jide Onifade, NT News.
Meanwhile, President of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Chinasa Obasi, has reiterated the commitment of the association in collaboration with the federal government and the anti-corruption agencies to curb unwholesome practices in tertiary institutions. Abdullahi Suleiman Yaji reports that he stated this at a rally to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, where the association called for renewed effort in trafficking corruption.
into the whistleblower job that Mr. President is looking for people to do. There is a lot of corruption in our tertiary institutions and our secondary education in our primary sector. But we feel if we don't take the bull by this horn, it will one day swallow us.
The group also marched to the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, where they were received and assured of the Commission's willingness to address their grievances.
The federal government has reiterated its commitment in public enlightenment of citizens to keep them abreast of workings of government and its focus for a greater Nigeria, with a view to making them stakeholders in governance. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, explains this while defending the ministry's 2017 budget before the Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation Agency. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Zumba reports.
1.1 billion naira was proposed by the Information Ministry for 2017, out of which 1.4 billion would take care of network, infrastructural upgrade, rehabilitation of national press centers for intensified public enlightenment campaign on government policies, programs, and achievements.
Information landscape of 10 years ago is no longer what it is today. Everybody today with a telephone is a journalist. They don't even listen to what we say on radio again. They don't listen to what we say on television. That's why we need to be more, visible and more, vigorous and more present on these platforms also, in addition to the traditional media. That's why we must develop a radio. And the NOA in particular, one that will explain misconceptions because they live within them. This is why I'll be pleading for radio, be pleading for NOA.
Chairman, Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation, Suleiman Adokwe, while commending the giant stride of the ministry, advised the minister to always keep the committee abreast of their activities to enable further understanding on how they could support them.
The Procurement Act has a time specification for which you can do anything. Other jurisdictions have executed their releases 100% because their procurement departments work ahead of time. And if you work ahead of time, by the time you get your money, you will just be walking straight to the market to pick whatever you're supposed to pick.
Thanking the committee for their continued support, Alhaji Lai Mohammed assured that 2017 will be a lot better, while promising that government media houses will be upgraded with emphasis on Nigerian Television Authority. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Zumba, NT News.
The Enugu State House of Assembly has passed the 2017 budget into law. The budget of 105 billion naira presented to the House by Governor Gwanyi in December last year was passed with minor adjustments that did not alter the original budget size. Susan Eze has details.
Presenting the report of the Committee on Finance and Appropriation, after due legislative processes of scrutinizing the budget, the chairman, Bismarck Ene, announced some proposed amendments and recommendations made by the committee. Under the recurrent expenditure of 55.2 billion naira, the committee recommended reallocation of the 320 million naira budgeted for residential rent under the Office of the Secretary to the State Government. Also for the State House of Assembly, an additional 120 million was recommended for international trainings, travels, transport, and welfare. For the capital expenditure of 50.5 billion naira, the committee also proposed amendments in the allocations of ministries of Education, Finance and Economic Development, Transport and Rural Development. The amendments, which did not affect the original budget size, was adopted by the House and the budget passed.
Appropriation bill has been passed. The state government has been given a leeway to implement the budget of 2017 tax, economic recovery and inclusive development.
The Speaker, Edward Obosi, also enjoined his colleagues to gear up for effective oversight of the implementation of the budget to ensure its success. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
The Enugu State Government with the International Inner Wheel Club to improve on the lives of women, children, and other vulnerable members of the society through its projects and programs. Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi gave the hint when he received the President, International Inner Wheel Club, Lady Olumesi Olatishe, and other executive members at the Government House in Enugu. Ijoma Gweke has details.
Commending the humanitarian service the club renders to the society, appreciated its crucial role in promoting friendship, encouraging the ideals of personal service, and fostering peace and international understanding. The state government, Governor Ugwuanyi said, has keyed into programs that better the lot of women and children in the state, hence the sustenance of the free maternal and child health programs. He assured them of his support to enable the club realize its targets and goals for the benefit of the people.
As one of the largest women organizations in the world, the Inner Wheel Club has continued to play a very crucial role in the quest to promote friendship, encourage the ideals of personal service, and foster peace and international understanding.
The president of the club, Lady Olumesi Olatishe, highlighted some of the objectives of the club, which centered on promoting the lives of women and addressing some major challenges confronting women and the girl child.
We cannot enact a law, but we can talk about our problems. We can discuss it. We can bring out the problems that are kept under the table to be placed on the table, to discuss an harmful practice that has no benefits to the woman.
Lady Olatishe used the opportunity to intimate the governor on their forthcoming program in Enugu, which is geared towards embarking on life-changing projects. In Enugu, Ijoma Gweke, NTA News.
Education is the bedrock for the development of every nation. Therefore, a greater percentage of budgetary allocation goes to the sector. It is therefore surprising that despite the allocation made for the sector, school children still sit on bare floor in classrooms to learn, a situation that leaves much to be desired. Chigonoaro, who went round some schools in Enugu, has the situation report.
It is common knowledge that the universal basic education was established by the federal government to give opportunity to every child of school age to have access to quality education. In Enugu State, part of the statutory responsibility of the Universal Basic Education Board is to equip all primary schools in the state, as well as renovate dilapidated structures. A recent visit to some of the schools in Nsukka Axis reveals that most of the schools are in a sorry state. NTA News crew ran into pupils of nursery and primary schools sitting on bare floor, writing with the floor half eroded by erosion. The head teacher of the school, who was having a meeting with members of the school's Parents Teachers Association, made a passionate appeal to those concerned with the welfare of primary schools to quickly come to their aid. Some other schools visited are also in deplorable state. Some of the classrooms were as dark as holes, with the windows and doors broken, just as the walls were caving in. The situation, however, did not deter the teachers from doing their jobs. Conducive learning environment is no doubt one of the basic standards of quality education. The chairman, Enugu State Universal Basic Education Board, explained the situation to NTA News.
We inherited 92 abandoned projects. We have, as of today, 3.5 billion on a sixth funds with the Universal Basic Education Commission. But what we are doing presently is to make sure that Enugu State assesses all their funds with UBEC.
Parents and teachers are looking forward to a positive change in the education sector, as experts say the destiny of these generations may be bleak if nothing urgent is done. In Enugu, Chigono Aro, NTA News.
Well, with that background report, which we have just listened to, we have in the studio Matthew Ugoeze, Chairman, Enugu State House Committee on Education, who will brief us on the state of schools in rural communities and the way forward. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you, madam.
So that report we have just watched reflect on the state of schools, especially in rural areas. What will you...
Well, I think, like the chairman and Subeb has explained, that the situation was so bad when they inherited it, when he came into office. Right now, I'm assuring you, and I challenge NTA also to go back to the field again and see what the Enugu State government has done. And the state government, able led by Right Honorable Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, has done marvelously well in terms of the educational sector. He injected about over 3 billion naira in 2016, and this year alone, we're injecting another 3.5 billion naira to ensure that the situation we saw now can never take place again in Enugu State. So go back to the field, and you see what they have done. The chairman who just spoke to us has actually reconstructed over 276 schools in Enugu State, and not just rehabilitation of schools, but also feed them with chairs so that students will not be sitting on the floor.
Okay, going by that report, sir, we saw meetings with PTA. Whose responsibility statutory will you say it is to provide infrastructures in schools in rural areas?
It's solely government's responsibility to provide for basic education in the state. And the Enugu State government is not out of it. We have been providing for the basic education from primary 1 to GS3. It's solely the responsibility of this administration, led by Right Honorable Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and he has been doing that.
Okay, you saw those children sitting on the floor while learning, sir. How does this situation affect teaching and learning?
Of course, negatively, and that is why I say that all the schools reconstructed by this present administration has been filled with chairs, modern chairs for that matter. You go back to the field, you see it there yourself.
So we hear of PTAs these days. What role will you say PTA play in the provision of facilities in school?
The essence of PTAs in schools, and of course what we call SBMC, that is constituted also by Enugu State government, called a School-Based Management Committee. All these committees were formed to ensure that what government are bringing to the community are solely managed by community. And the Igwes of that community is also involved in it. It's not just enough to sit down at the back of their home or the comfort of their home and begin to blame government for not providing infrastructure, whereas the one provided are being carted away by the same community. So therefore, we form these committees to ensure that all these people, all these projects and all these infrastructures provided by the government to the community are being managed by the community.
All right. Under the present scenario witnessed in that report, do you think that the standard of education can improve, considering the fact that we always hammer on falling standard of education?
Sincerely, I assure you that the present constituted management of schools in Enugu State, ranging from the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Professor Ucheze, the Chairman of NSUBEB, Chairman of PPSMB, the Board Chairman, Nestor Eze, and of course the House of Assembly, heavily led by my humble self as the Chairman Committee on Education. We are on field every day to ensure that education must be to the people. And all this improvement and all the policies we are rolling out now actually is getting to the people. And I'm sure before the end of this administration, we are going to see a different educational system in Enugu State.
All right. You just told us that they have provided infrastructure for the school. Are we going to feel the impact so soon?
It is already there. The impact is there. The communities are using the structures. As soon as the contractors complete, they open something for them. They don't hand, you know, in the past, they used to hand, contractors used to go with the key because they have not paid. But this present chairman of NSUBEB, as you finish your job, you bring your key. Once you evaluate what you did, he pay you upfront. And of course, you hand over the key to the community.
Even the schools in rural communities.
As I'm telling you now, the school in rural communities, including my own community, benefited from it. We don't have secondary school in the past. Right now, we have secondary school with infrastructure. That's leading from GS1 to 3. That is the essence of the seriousness of this government in terms of education. Because that is the bedrock of every nation, as you rightly pointed out when you are reading your news.
Okay, sir. So going by all these, what do you think is the way forward? Are we going in anytime soon going to see something like those reports we saw on air?
If you are ready for us to go now to change the scope of what we just saw now, I'll take you to the areas where you see them. I'm very ready.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's our package on Panorama from Enugu Network Center. Thanks for being with us, and do enjoy the rest of your afternoon.